Ladies and gentlemen, we live in an age of smart technology, of digital transformation, of connected travelers. And the question for African aviation is not whether to just embrace this transformation, but also, as we've heard throughout the course of the day, how to lead it and how to facilitate it. Our next session is the CIO's Roundtable. It is going to be a deep dive into the integrated technology blueprint and how it can transform African travel into a smart travel ecosystem. And this is going to be a conversation that is going to be led by our moderator, Captain Gilbert Kibe, who is the Managing Director for Air Transport Consulting. Might we welcome our moderator onto the stage with a round of applause, and is also going to introduce his panelists for this discussion. Let's give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon.
Thank you. So, welcome to this panel session number 2 on this topic on smart travel ecosystem, integrated technology blueprint to transform African travel. I would like to call on stage my panelists, beginning with Mr. Getane Walter Michael, the Commercial Director of Royal Eswatini National Airways. Give him a welcome. I'd also like to call Mario Segovia, the Senior Vice President and Head of Airlines Middle East of the Axelia Group. Please welcome him. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Pascal Wafula, from Amadeus. So the 4 of us will be having this discussion, and we hope that you'll find it interesting and informative, because some of the things that we're going to discuss, even I don't know or understand. So they're going to actually teach us quite a lot of things. So let me set the tone, or setting the scene, by this introduction. African aviation stands at a defining inflection point. The continent's aviation market is one of the fastest growing in the world. Intra-African passenger numbers are climbing, new routes are opening, and demand for seamless, affordable, and digitally enabled travel has never been greater. Yet, beneath this momentum lies a profound challenge. The technology infrastructure underpinning the African travel ecosystem remains fragmented, underfunded, and in many cases anchored by legacy systems that were not designed for the complexity or scale of today's aviation environment. The vision of a smart travel ecosystem, one in which airlines, airports, ground handlers, technology vendors, financial institutions, and regulatory bodies are interconnected through shared digital platforms. And this is no longer a distant aspiration. It is happening and should be happening today. It is an operational necessity. Travelers across the continent increasingly expect the same quality of digital experience they encounter in more mature markets. They want intuitive booking interfaces, real-time flight information, seamless ancillary services, mobile-first payment options, and personalized engagement at every touch point of their journey. Africa brings unique strengths to this challenge. Mobile penetration on the continent is extraordinary. More Africans access the internet via mobile device than via any other means. Innovative fintech and mobile money solutions, homegrown in Africa, have demonstrated that leapfrog technology adoption is not only possible, but already underway. African airlines and technology providers have an opportunity to design solutions that are intrinsically African, built for the continent's linguistic diversity, its informal economy, its connectivity constraints, and its extraordinary demographic of youth and energy. Yet the barriers are real. Interoperability between reservation systems, departure control platforms, loyalty programs, and payment gateways remain elusive. Data sovereignty concerns and the patchwork of regulatory frameworks across Africa's 54 nations complicate cross-border digital integration. Cybersecurity risks are growing as aviation systems become more connected, and the human capital required to build, manage, and continuously evolve sophisticated technology ecosystems is still in short supply across many African carriers. This session brings together a distinguished panel of airline technology leaders and global technology providers to explore these questions candidly and constructively. The discussion will be structured around 4 thematic areas, and that is the current state of digital readiness across African aviation, the role of data, AI, and personalization in transforming the passenger experience. Also, the critical challenge of interoperability and infrastructure integration, and a forward-looking conversation on the technologies and partnerships that will define African aviation in the decade ahead of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now wish to move to our panel, and we begin our discussion. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do feel like asking a question, you're free to do so. Just let us know. So, the first question goes to Pascal of Amadeus and Mario of Axelia. The concept of smart travel ecosystem implies deep integration across airlines, airports, GDS platforms, payments, and governments. What does a truly integrated technology blueprint look like for Africa? And which building blocks are most critical to put in place first? Pascal.
Thank you so much, Captain, for setting the scene so vividly and putting into perspective what a technology has to address for our African airlines today. To your direct question, the fact of, I'd want to put it this way, that deep integration is not necessarily a prerequisite for us to interoperate, to interconnect. So I think it's more of what flexibility do the current systems offer us to be able to interconnect with each other. Because the reality is that we are dealing with, as you say, a very diverse continent with, if I must add, very diverse also maturity level from a technological advancement. So not all airlines within the continent are within the same sort of maturity level. So there are some that are way up, and there are some who are struggling to come up. So I think the first key priority for us is to create a framework in which all these systems can interoperate and basically transfer data from one system into the other. So the flexibility is the first key item that we need to into place. And again, this data exchange and interoperability can also be extended not only to the airline systems, as you rightly say, that we have a whole airline ecosystem that does not only involve airlines. We have ground handlers, we have the airports, we have the immigrations teams, and if we extend it further, we also have hotels and other essential providers into the aviation industry. So this framework can be able to, when we extend this flexibility, we can reach out to these diverse systems operating in basically silos. So we want to encourage that data operability between the various systems. So that will be the first thing. And then once we harness that, we are able to now scale the data that is coming out of that to improve it to effect what is the most important to the airlines and also the airports, improving the customer experience. So unless we are able to get this data and communicate through the various players within the ecosystem and use the data to transform and make richer the customer experience, then will not have really achieved much. So that will be really the cornerstone from our perspective. So I know there are many from Amadeus' perspective, we are enabling this through having a core platform that is one embedded within the cloud, so that we at least make easy the transfer from data from one component to the other component, one touch point, customer touchpoint to the other customer touchpoint. Having that cloud experience would enable us to have a seamless sort of data exchange and interoperability. And then, of course, that, as I say, would translate to a good customer experience from the passenger perspective.
Thank you very much from Amadeus. What about from Axelia?
Well, from the Axelia perspective, we're completely supportive of interoperability and modularity. Yeah? So since the very founding of our company, we've always been talking about open architecture, modules, being able to communicate with whatever ecosystem the airline was using. Yeah? That being said, that has also been the challenge that we've seen in the industry. Yeah? So a lot of monolithic blocks, a lot of, PSSs which offer it all, and which we want to continue to offer it all. Yeah. So we're really a firm believer of interoperability, modularity, and exchange of data, going left, right, and center. Yeah, in order to not only obviously improve the customer experience, but foremost also improve the commercial and operational processes of the airline. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're all in this industry to basically make a margin, make a profit, and the way that we're seeing it is that we really need to uplift this $1.30 that the African Airlines are making today, on average per passenger boarded. Yeah, so in our view, a truly integrated platform or ecosystem is not about having one platform that does it all. It's about picking and choosing those solutions that the airline believes that fits best with their ecosystem and their requirements, yeah, and that of their customers, and making sure that those can all speak to each other at the end of the day, yeah. So one of the building blocks for that was NDC, which actually did facilitate the exchange of information and the better way of basically communicating, contextualizing, and personalizing offers to airlines. And with that, things like one order, yeah, which is really where the airline industry is heading to. Now, once you get all the players that Pascal was just alluding to talking the same way and working towards the same direction, there we believe that we will have the opportunity to have a truly integrated ecosystem for the airlines, yeah, both on the passenger side and on the cargo side, because that's also one of the elements that one should not forget about. 2 or 3 of the CEOs who were here on stage today, Kenya Airways and South African Airlines, explicitly mentioned that cargo is a revenue driver and a profit driver, yeah? I'm based in Middle East myself, in Dubai, and we can see that given the current circumstances, the crisis that we're facing, yeah, due to uncertainty, Airlines like Emirates are really relying on the cargo business in order to keep a lifeline in terms of financials, and I think that's very important.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a good introduction to interoperability. Now, this question will go for all of you, and I would like Getane to start it off. African aviation is at a critical crossroad. Passenger demand is growing, yet the technology infrastructure remains fragmented across the continent. As technology leaders, how do you assess the current state of digital readiness among African air transport, and what are the most urgent gaps that need to be addressed?
Thank you, Captain. First of all, I'm not a technology leader, as you introduced. I'm on the commercial side, but
yes.
I have dabbled with it a bit with technology, and I happen to be the chairman of the AFRAA distribution committee. So I'm here in that context. So if the depth of my technological knowledge is not up to your expectation, I apologize for that. But African technology usage is fragmented. There is no question about it. And it's a reflection of everything that is fragmented in our continent. The issue is the airline industry historically at least had standards. As you know, with IATA, we used to have, which is still prevalent, we have the AIRIMP standard for facilitating reservation ticket sales and things like that. That has brought everybody to the same level. But the technology that supports that environment is very backward. It's legacy system. So it needs to be brought up to speed in the age of AI. I think in terms of framework for doing that, IATA has come up with the new distribution capability. So at least in the distribution area, we have a standard that everybody can aspire to migrate to and prepare. This goes hand in hand with the new order and fulfillment process, and that order and delivery process is also being developed very well. So African Airlines, despite the fragmentation of the legacy systems that they use today, being different, can take advantage, and we are talking about possibilities in that area. Continentally, AFRAA is leading that effort through a project called the AFRAA Exchange Project, and AFRAA puts committee meetings on a weekend sometimes. We met yesterday, Sunday, here, as a committee to see the progress in that area, and some really noticeable progress is being achieved. And we received some very enlightening presentations from some of the companies present here, like TP Connect, where the stack that goes beyond the airline industry, where we can interface with other systems, is also being thought of. Because if you think of how we use this, first of all, it is from customer experience point of view. So in the booking or shopping process, if we can continue to avail integrated solutions, for instance, you want a hotel, you want a pickup at the airport, things like that, we need to interface with other systems as well. And the stack that deals with those sorts of things have to be taught at the same time. And we really are excited that some of the technology partners in the industry are already paying attention to those sorts of things. But within the industry itself, we have a big problem. You know, technology and sort of machine learning or AI is not new to the airline industry. As you know, particularly as a captain, you know about the FDM, the flight data monitoring feature, which informs us about fuel burn levels and any exceedances or pilot behavior, which we can incorporate to training. So in its basic form, we have been using artificial intelligence that way as an industry. But now it is about interfacing with other members of the ecosystem. If an airport has a congestion, a weather condition, is it a bulletin or is it some sort of actionable data that is coming so that the schedule, the delay information is updated by that system and we immediately communicate that to our customers based on that. Because now we are receiving a bulletin, then we have to digest that information and identify the passengers which are affected. But in today's technology, it's possible to do that, you know, in a seamless fashion once we agree what the trigger points are. So there is a lot to be done, but definitely the standards that are developed, at least within the airline industry, will help us for now.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mario, how would you answer that one? How do you assess the current state of digital readiness among African air transport?
Yeah. So obviously the market is very fragmented, let's be honest, but at the same time we're seeing there's a lot of ambition, drive and demand from the airlines in the region to break that status quo, yeah? And the airlines are realizing that they essentially need to jump on the bandwagon right now, because otherwise they will be lost, yeah? They will be sitting in the queue and the opportunity will be gone. So we are seeing through the engagements with the airlines in the market that there is a need. The airlines want to explore. There's obviously a cost side to it, which needs to be taken into consideration, and that's why obviously we as a modular provider always say focus there where you can basically achieve the fastest return in terms of operational efficiencies, cost reduction, increased revenues by means of retailing techniques and ancillaries and so on and so forth, yeah? What I have to agree on is that NDC enabled some of that. Yeah, actually, Excelia through its subsidiary Fairlogics was the first, like let's say, provider to provide NDC technology to the industry. So currently we process around 50%, in excess of 50% of all the NDC transactions globally. Yeah, and that number is growing. And we actually defined the standard for that, and we actually sold that to IATA for $1, yeah? The same way as you've just been saying, it's very important that the wider ecosystem is based on standards. And because of that, and the lack of progress that was being made across the industry on that, we actually co-developed with IATA a new standard, yeah? Which is basically to allow the entire, you know, data exchange to be based on virtual APIs. We call that our modular exchange framework, which is, by the way, available on the IATA hub, which actually allows airlines to now go beyond the offer creation into the order, the settle, and the deliver, yeah? So, again, just to recap, I think airlines are eager, wanting to invest, wanting to embrace digitalization. There's investment being made, or to be made, and the airlines need to be conscious of that, yeah? And as our, like, let's say, one of our slogans, basically, I would say, is that we're an agnostic and a neutral IT provider. We don't have any interest on the backside to protect. So we really work with the airlines in a very constructive manner to understand their requirements and see how we can cater for that, yeah? And when I say see how we can cater for that, it's not only about what can Excelia do, but what can also some of the other providers like an Amadeus, like a TP Connect, bring into the mix. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's about interconnectivity, it's about interoperability, and it's making sure that you have the best solution for your customers.
Thank you. Pascal?
Yes, maybe just to add on what Gitsan and Mario has said, I think they are spot on in identifying where we are from a purely technological perspective. For me, I'll put a spin into the readiness of our airlines to be able to embrace this digital technology, because I think you have mentioned that the African aviation does not operate out of on its own. It's basically within the same framework where the other world airlines are operating from, and the same service that they are getting, the passengers who travel the African carriers, they will get from the other carriers in the other regions. They expect similar services from here. So I think it's more of a challenge to the airlines in the room. Where does this readiness, internal readiness to embrace technology, where does this fit within the priority of the airline? Okay, yeah, because let's face it, the airlines today, as Mario says, we're operating a very small margin. And if you ask any of the airline CEOs where they want to put their focus, I'm sure digitalization might not be the top priority. Reality, because they will need to spend some money. You have to convince the board that you have to spend some money to be able to create this whole transformation within the organization. So for me, it's more of what is the priority of the airlines? And I appreciate the initiative of AFRAA that Gatana is leading to be able to speak, to create that momentum with the airlines, to be able to speak with the various providers who have this technology ready, and just they are waiting for the airlines to make it a priority and to see how best we can both partner, of course, meeting the airline business needs and trying to transform that into what technology will make sense to be able to leapfrog. Because I think the beauty of the continent is that we have an opportunity to leapfrog. We don't have to really learn through maybe the mistakes that other airlines made in the other regions in trying to grapple with all this new technology. Now we have gotten to a level where there is a lot of maturity in the technology, and it's just a matter of discussing with your various partners, technology partners, and creating that internal drive at a business need to be able to face this transformation.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Pascal. I mean, obviously, companies like Amadeus, companies like Excelia, we've got global customers,
Yes.
and the readiness of African carriers shouldn't be behind. I think that we've so much ample experience, for instance, in the case of Excelia, working with the airlines in the US, with working with some of the leading Middle Eastern airlines, that I think it's an opportunity for the airlines individually and through AFRAA to basically take advantage of us and just see what we've done with those airlines and how that actually contributed to a positive outcome. So in that sense, I think that collaboration as well between the airlines by means of an AFRAA or by means of an airport carrier organization back in the Middle East is extremely important and very beneficial.
Thank you.
Would you like me to comment?
You can also comment. You're welcome.
Because airlines are being accused, I thought. No, really, what's the purpose, first of all? Why do we embrace digitalization to the degree that we are talking about here? Essentially, it is so that we can improve or enhance the customer experience. I don't know any CEO who is not interested in that. Okay? It is also to improve our efficiency, which translates to cost reduction in some instances, or improve your competitive positioning. I don't know any CEO, again, who is not interested in that. Safety and security, the same thing. So the CEOs and the airlines are interested, there is no question. Now, it's a question of scale. The fragmentation in the first place in Africa in terms of technology is because of size, different airlines adopted different solutions, different technologies. And in this case, any investment to go forward with something like this, you have to look at the scale that it will be consumed vis-a-vis the investment required. So that is the challenge the CEOs have. It's not so much not appreciating or understanding the importance.
Yeah.
So the effort being done by AFRAA, for instance, with the exchange project is, how do we optimize that cost through a collective approach? So the airlines are very much aware, and we need to keep in mind, although the mobile users on our continent are many, the savvy, the technical know-how of exploiting, using some of the features, or the type of mobile phones that they use, whether that gives scale or not is always a question. So we cannot just extrapolate from the number of mobile users into digital nativity. Those are a bit different. So countries in Africa find themselves at different levels. For instance, countries like South Africa lead. Countries like Kenya lead with M-Pesa and other fintech technologies they have proven already. We know Egypt and Nigeria also have a very good digital rating overall. But most of Africa still struggles with volumes in terms of digital infrastructure, digital use. So airlines have to always juggle between different investment priorities. And this one might be influenced by factors like that, but I don't know of any airline CEO who doesn't want to improve in all those areas. Thank you.
That one, just to close off, I think that absolutely those are challenges, but those challenges are not unique to Africa only. Yeah, even within Europe, there's a disparity between some of the Northern European countries and some of the Eastern European countries on things that you've just been mentioning. America is a huge continent, and you cannot compare the top part with the bottom part. Yeah. In South America, there's huge disparity. There's countries like Bolivia, Peru, and so on, which have a completely different digital penetration and digital usage than North America has. So I think there's more similarities than one would expect across the continents. Huh?
Yeah. So these are global challenges everywhere.
Correct.
So we're going to go to the second theme, and I see we only have 9 minutes left. So you guys are going to have to be very brief in your answers. So I'll only ask one question relating to data, AI, and personalization when you're looking at the African traveler experience. Now, mobile penetration, and you've all mentioned this, in Africa, it far outpaces the desktop use. How are technology providers and airlines redesigning the end-to-end traveler journey starting from the search and book function through to check-in, ancillary, and post-travel engagements? How is it to be truly mobile first and Africa ready? So can we start with Pascal, and each of you can have just 1 minute to answer that one.
Wow, 1 minute, okay.
Yes.
I'll go for it. Thank you for that question. I think for us in Amadeus, we realized that in the mobile space, this is where airlines want to make the differentiation. So in the past, we used to have an off-the-shelf white label solution, that is a mobile solution. And we came to this realization that it doesn't work. It doesn't work to have something off the shelf because every airline wants to be different with the mobile experience. So what we have done is through our APIs, we have opened up the APIs, and we have a service offering in which we work with the airlines to co-build a mobile solution that addresses all the flows in a way that the airlines wants to differentiate itself in that space. And you'll find that an airline A will come up with a totally different look and feel and experience compared to airline B, because this is where the differentiation matters. So that is, to us, is one of the key messages that we do on the mobile space. And of course, we use all this in all the flows that you have mentioned, Captain, but also enhancing that with notifications. Any notifications that need to come to the passenger, we embed that throughout the flow of the mobile app.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mario?
So very concretely, we expose the APIs. So we're not in the business of building any of those tools ourselves.
Yes.
We have some core solutions that we develop, and then we expose APIs and leave the airlines to do that themselves with their partners, with potential other vendors, competitors like an Amadeus. We don't mind. I mean, the APIs are there, use them, and build whatever you believe works best for your customer.
Thank you. Getane, your airline,
really,
mobile payments, etc.?
Thank you. Personalization and kind of supporting the passenger through the journey process. The technology is out there. Just look at booking.com to appreciate how it goes. So it's about replicating what is out there. I think the real challenge is the data protection policies, privacy policies. We need to be aware of them. And in some countries, these regulations do not exist today. So am I invading your environment when I suggest something? Or are you wondering, how did they know I have such a preference, kind of thing? So we need to have that covered. Otherwise, technology-wise, already, it's out there. It can be done.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we now have 5 minutes. So looking ahead for 5 years from now, with emerging technologies, whether they're AI-driven automation, blockchain-based identity, or biometrics, or the next generation of GDS platform, these hold the greatest transformative promise for African aviation. What airlines and technology partners do today, will they be ready? And you can use this as your closing statement in the response.
Are you starting with?
We can start with the airline,
Okay.
then we go to the technology partners.
All right. Yeah, indeed. That is a lot of promise exists there, because today, if I could add a house train ticket to my arrival flight here, and I tried 2 years ago, by the way.
Yes.
They are not selling digitally yet. But if I can offer a complete solution to my passenger on arrival, including accommodation and other stuff, this is going to increase and diversify my income source. These are things we call ancillaries. And we can do so, and the technology does exist. However, we need upskilling internally, including myself, the commercial people. We need to think in business terms instead of just thinking about our own products. How can we co-create with other participants in the ecosystem? That we can do. I would like to see airports, for instance, for not asking me. I would appreciate it if they don't ask me to remove my shoes.
Yes.
I would. And I think the technology is there to avoid that, because I'm working through their terminal and they had 100 opportunities to check me out.
Yes.
While if they put something under this carpet, I don't have to be searched. They already know as I work in. So there are ways technology could be used to enhance. But we need the infrastructure. In parts of Africa that doesn't exist to the extent that is required. And we need the platform to co-create. Even those who are in the same industry, they are doing their own thing individually. As you know, the US airspace is managed with all those flights by a single air transport control center. Here we have 55, and we don't have enough flights to justify one. So those kinds of coming together, thinking and saying, let's do it together, is what is missing. If we do that, definitely we can transform the industry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mario, your closing
Yeah, the
remark?
technology is there, as you rightfully said. It's just about connecting, well, just between brackets, obviously. It's about connecting the boxes, making sure that everybody tangos along in the same direction, which is not always the case, yeah? So, as the example I was given, that we developed an additional set of APIs in order to actually allow for more exchange among parties, not only airlines, also airports, ground handlers, hotels, whatever. It still requires a drive and a push from the industry, yeah? So bodies like IATA, AFRAA, the European Association of Regional Airlines, etc., will have to push into the right direction. Otherwise, this journey is going to take a long time to materialize.
Thank you. Pascal?
Yes, I think from my perspective, there's so many moving parts, the possibilities for the next 5 years. There are many things moving together almost at different speeds, but they're all converging. And you have seen, I don't know whether anybody in the room saw the proof of concept that IATA did quite recently in biometrics and ensuring that that the passenger can be able to leave London all the way into Japan, transiting via Hong Kong and not having to show their travel documents at any particular point. This is a reality that is in place now, and it can happen to African continent. Of course, we have many disparate different countries within Africa, but with the convergence of the African Union, the initiative of SATAM, they can all converge to be able to make this a reality where the movement of passengers within this continent can be done seamlessly with biometrics. They can be done seamlessly with the exchange of information without having to reveal the passenger documents at each particular stage. This is possible. The technology allows it. We just need to lobby with our respective carriers and airlines and governments to be able to create that interoperability within the African space.
Thank you very much. So, let us now sum up the key discussion points, conclusion, and the recommendations that I have captured in this conversation. There are four main things. Number one, deep integration and interoperability is possible. And it should be cloud-based for efficiency. We need to improve customer service, commercial integration for airlines and other people in the aviation, using different best practice systems, but those different systems must be able to interoperate with other systems. Secondly, airlines are willing to embrace technology, and so are the other aviation-related organizations, as long as they're commercially useful. Partner airlines should have agreements with airlines who may not be able to have the new technology or cannot afford the new technology to be able to share with your partner airline. So when you look at global alliances, these airlines already operating these systems can share it with their alliance partners. Thirdly, mobile solutions are being addressed by technology partners and aviation system as a whole, ecosystem, airlines, airports, etc., in order to integrate and interoperate and enhance all-round services. And finally, the point that Pascal made about SATAM implementation is key, and I like that because I'm a SATAM ambassador for Eastern Region. If we can implement SATAM, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and the free movement of persons in Africa, then we'll be able to grow and develop air transport like we wouldn't believe. So ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this discussion. Please give a big hand for our panelists here. Thank you.